such a roller coaster for the car industry, right? We've had such terrible things happen, and then such great things happen. If you have ever played Minecraft Story Mode when you were a child, like I did as a 2005 Sweet Summer child when it came out, an iconic saying when you start up the game is, when one door closes, another one opens. That's kind of what's been happening, right? Big brands have been dying off slowly one by one, and new doors have been opening because of that. So a lot of these are going to have cause and effect. The first story, out of 3, doesn't really, but I'm excited to see what will happen. It's just so new that we haven't really seen what's going to happen or the cause and effect yet. So the first thing we're talking about, 2 weeks ago, on Saturday, the Stellantis CEO, Carlos Tavares, abruptly resigned. Can you believe that? Now, if you don't know, Carlos Tavares was the CEO of Stellantis. Now, you had FCA and PSA, which formed together to make one car company, right? FCA was Fiat Chrysler Automobiles. That consisted of Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and of course Fiat. And then you had PSA, which was French. It had some really weird car companies, and they were acquiring some bigger and bigger car companies as it was going. It was kind of snowballing, right? Originally a smaller company, kind of matching FCA's size overall with the amount of employees and structuring and everything like that. And then it started to snowball when they acquired Vauxhall and all the other big brands. And then they hired Carlos Tavares, which I believe was the former CEO of PSA, to run all these car companies. Now, no, he was from FSA. They hired him. He was from FSA. I don't know what department he worked in because I don't care enough. But he was a bad CEO. Now, he was really decent with Peugeot and Vauxhall and all those other foreign brands. But with Chrysler in the United States, they felt very neglected. It's kind of like being owned by Mercedes again. They weren't getting any new cars. They weren't getting any rebadges. They weren't getting anything. They got, I think, in his entire CEO position, one new car. Other than that, and I'm talking Fiat, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. Other than that, and aside from concepts like the Airflow and the EV Dodge Charger, nothing. They've just added one car, which is the Dodge Hornet and the, what's it called? Alfa Romeo Tonsils. And that was, yes, it's the Tonale, the Tonalo. It's that car, whatever it's called. I call it the Tonsils. They've added those 2 cars. They're the same car. They're just rebadged. You know, and I really do like me a good Jeep. Jeeps are great. I love the Jeep look. If they weren't so crap, you know what I mean? Like the reliability, I love the styling. I think their styling has been great for years. When I was a kid, I wanted a Jeep because it's Oregon, you know. You had like the Toyotas and Hondas like our family had, you know, the boring regular cars. And then you had the Jeeps, right? Like the Jeep Compasses, Jeep Cherokees, and Grand Cherokees. They were so popular. I was like, I want a Grand Cherokee. And then when I get older, I realized, you really don't. I also love Fiat. I'm sorry. Fiat is such a bad brand in that it took over Chrysler, treated them like crap, then merged with another company, and then continued to treat Chrysler like crap. And they're just a little car company that is probably the worst for build quality. Their build quality sucks. Their cars aren't that great, but boy, are they cute. You know, I mean, look at this. Who doesn't want a tiny little off-roader type thing, right? It's kind of like the Suzuki Ignis, which they sell in Australia. It's so cute, but it's so awful. You know what I mean? Like, if it wasn't so cheaply built and so awful, I would totally get it. Like, I love the way this thing looks. I mean, look at it. It's cute. It's off-roady. Now, I also think that the 500e, I don't like the 500e as much, but you have to admit, it's a cute little car. Where else can you buy a roller skate like this? The Sonic is gone. The Chevrolet Sonic is gone. The Spark is gone. You know, the Bolt is gone. It's just sad. So I'm happy that we still have these little cars, despite the ridiculous prices that they bring with them, right? Also, Nissan. The next thing we're going to talk about is Nissan's bankruptcy. Nissan, believe it or not, is on the brink of bankruptcy. Now, this is hard to believe, but it's a very clear picture. If we look at their cars that they're actively selling, you have the Kicks, which is good. The Kicks is great. And then the rest of these cars are pretty much unrealistic. It's just a given, aside from the Leaf, that those are unrealistic. And the cars, you have the Versa and the Sentra, and then the rest of these are pretty much unaffordable for the average person. That's kind of what happened. Nissan tried to move up market with this up brand and everything, and people weren't picking up what they're buying, right? Nissan has had so many fantastic, little, small, cheap, decently reliable cars. I mean, if you get like a Maxima from the late 90s, it'll run as long, if not longer, than a Honda Civic or Toyota will, right? They were just so great. And then they added some more electronics, and then they turned out to be not so great. And they've even had bigger cars like the Sentra. How many of these have you seen? I can count. I live in Oregon, and I used to live in Florida, especially in Florida, but also in Oregon. I see so many of these. I could maybe 100 a day of these red little ones. You know, they're always red, and it never has these wheels. It's always these hubcaps, right? It's always that car. It's always the same car. I don't know. Maybe there's just one guy who frantically drives around in circles in Oregon and Ocklawaha, Florida, but, that I see this car constantly, right? And they're still making those cars, but now they're bigger and more expensive. They carry a hefty price tag. And Nissan, with all these new cars, they don't really have an identity anymore, They're just kind of the meh brand, which is a result of all this. But a good result of all this is that because of all this, they're selling off their Mitsubishi stock. Now, Mitsubishi is a car company that is either great or terrible. You know what I mean? Like, they can have some of the best cars and then some of the worst cars. And Mitsubishi, they've had some rough times. They had just made it through the recession, and they were dying to sign a contract. In this case, they were signing up with Nissan and Honda to do a little partnership merger thing. Well, Nissan's going bankrupt. Honda's not doing well either, and they're thinking of merging into one colossal mess, and from what I've heard, Honda maybe, but mostly Nissan, is selling off all their Mitsubishi motor stock, which means Mitsubishi, if you don't know, their plan was to rebadge only Nissans by 2030 or some crap. Just because it's by 2030 doesn't mean it's good. We are making all of our cars out of human waste by 2030. By 2030 or by 10 seconds from now, EVs, whatever, it's usually not a very good thing if they say by a certain date. And it's also never going to be by that certain date, and it's also not a good thing. So they've just been rebadging Nissans. I don't think any of their current cars are purely rebadges, like this isn't just a Nissan Murano under the skin, but they definitely do use plenty of Nissan parts, and it shows in the reliability. It has just been going down and down over the years, which is not something good for a car company that can barely keep afloat with good build quality. Ooh, that was a good voice crack. With good reliability and good build quality. So I'm happy that, Nissan's selling off their stock and getting rid of their ownership, because seriously, I would love me a good, reliable Outlander Sport, especially in like the low 20s. I mean, look at that. It's just such an awesome car, such an awesome car company. So great. I'm so happy that they're finally free from the shackles of Nissan. And it is the poo. You can either have a really great Nissan or need to replace your computer and CVT in about 5 months. And also I'm happy because Mitsubishi, under Nissan and under the other guys, there's a big push for crossovers. Why? They're cheap to build, and people are willing to pay SUV crossovers for not an SUV. So I'm excited to see some more classic Mitsubishi. I love those wheels. I love the way this car looks. I know I've said this before. There are some wheels that just go with a car. Like, if these wheels were on any other car, I'd be like, ugh. But because they're on this car and the body styling and the body design, that glop, gwump, tumpus, wapple, kind of like late 50s, very moppy, clay-like design, but with like strict edges in there a little bit to give it kind of a little sharp edge. It's just so perfect, and the wheels match it perfectly. Anyway, I'm excited to see their historic models return to greatness rather than, being a crossover, an expensive crossover. Anyway, other than that, the next thing is Volkswagen. Volkswagen, it's dead. Guys, Volkswagen has been dead in the water for a while. They've been having issues with their union. Unions are interesting. A lot of people have different opinions about unions. Toyota doesn't have a union. Many other car companies don't have a union. But Volkswagen does. And right now, the worst thing that could happen to Volkswagen is their union. They, whether you see it on behalf of the workers need stability and stuff like that, or you see it as in, this entire car company is going to die because of their union, it's not doing well. Union workers are demanding a lot of crap, and Volkswagen doesn't want to do it, so they're either going to have to fire all the union workers, which is drastic, or make some changes and go bankrupt. So, not going to be fun for them. But what is coming is the Cupra brand. Now, no one is talking about this. We got like one Motor Trend article, yay, and then the rest of that, nothing. Just silence. The sound of silence. That's all I heard about this. I am so excited by 2030 to have Cupra in here. Let me check about all the cars. The Terramera, by the way, I absolutely love the Leon. We'll get to the Leon later. Anyway, you have the Terramera. I don't know, it's Spanish. I took Spanish for a while in high school, and I don't remember a single thing. So yeah, e-hybrid, look at it, great design. This is, believe it or not, the biggest car. This is the thing I'm so excited for. These American brands nowadays, and I don't mean, like Chevrolet, I mean all the brands. All their cars are huge. They are all so big. I mean, any car, take off that, and then the rest of these are way too big for the average person. It's ridiculous. And yet Cupra, this is their biggest car. Move down. Do you know how many people would like that? Just a small little e-hybrid, brand new, right, affordable, and it's got aggressive but nice styling, right? I appreciate the styling. And then the Leon. I love the Leon. You know I love me a wagon. Look at how cute it is. It's not really a wagon, but it's also kind of a wagon, and you know how much I would pay for a wagon. And then the Leon Sports Tour, which is, show me a difference. Because the paint? Other than that, yeah. You've got the Tavascan, which is electric. This is kind of like every brand, like the Aria and the BZ4X has some stupid EV. And then something else I'm really excited about is the Born. We do not have small cars like this. I mean, we have the Nissan Leaf, but the price is just so damn high. You know, Born electric, nice, small. It's like the Chevy Bolt size. So that's going to be great just to have a small little city EV that you can buy anymore without buying it used. And then, you know, the last one, which is the Ateca, which is just petrol. This is their only non-EV car. This is, you know, they used to do, they've always been kind of focused to new technology, but before they had a lot more petrol cars than they do now. But I'm so excited to see this brand in the United States. Because, guys, you have to admit, how long in the United States has it been Ford, Chevrolet, Toyota, Honda, and Nissan? How long? Those 5 brands. 1980s? 1990s? Guys, we've had the same 5 brands competing and fighting. And the same, like, 2 conglomerates running them. Got, like, GM, Ford, and then apparently Nissan and Honda are a thing, and then Toyota. Just weird. Just a bunch of weird stuff. The same people have been in charge for absolutely ever. So it's exciting to see some new brands and some new diversity. Who knows? 20 years from now, I may be withering away in this chair, still talking to you, making episode 1 million of season 12 billion of Car News, talking about how Cupra is now the #1 brand. Anyway, with that, thank you for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And that's all I meant. You know, this year's been a little bit crazy for the auto industry, but it always bounces back. Great Depression, World Wars, it'll be fine. Just give it some time to sort out, and I'm sure the car industry it'll unwrap itself from the rubber band ball that it got itself into.